Hi, my name is Sean. I'm standing in the atrium here of our wonderful church here in Hobart. As you can see, we have our midweek cafe going here, our play groups are on, just some of the activities we do here at Hobart. I want to speak a little bit today about what you're going to see over the next few weeks, because once a year here in church, we have the opportunity for new voices to get up and to share their stories, to share their testimonies on stage in both our midweek services and during our weekend services. This was part of our series on Beyond the Boat, which was about stretching their faith. So some of the stories are very real testimonies of how people had some struggles, and yet they found Jesus and they were able to see hope come through this. So I encourage you to be able to share them with others, to be able to sit with your family, to be able to watch these, to be able to talk about what the stories are. And as always, if you want to chat to us, then please respond, and we'd love to get in contact with you. If you want to know anything more about what we do here, then also just get in contact with us. God bless, and we'll see you on the screens very soon.
Hello everyone, I'm Brianna. As you heard, I'm year 11 and my family and I moved from South Australia to here last year. So today I'm going to talk about not worrying about what other people think and what we can do to help not worry about what other people would think of us. And I know for one I can struggle with this, and I'm sure a lot of people would. So a quote by Christine Caine says, "Until we care more about what God thinks than what other people think, we are never truly free." And Proverbs 29, verse 25 says, "Fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe." This goes a step further and says it's a snare to be concerned with what other people think. It's dangerous. But why? Until we care more about what God thinks than what other people think, we are never truly free. David Icke says, "The greatest prison people live in is the fear of what other people think." So at my old school, I went to a public high school, and my friends and I decided to start a Christian group. And it was very easy to be worried about what other people would say if they found out that I was a Christian. If someone did something that was thought to be particularly good at school, then they would say, "Are you a Christian?" To which everyone would laugh. And they had such stereotypical views of Christians, that they were goody two-shoes, they didn't swear, and they didn't have any fun. So if people found out that I was a Christian, would they tease me or stop being friends? I didn't share openly about my faith because I was worried that I would be viewed differently or teased. I kept it to myself or talked about it with my close friends who were also Christians. I didn't openly invite others to the group because I was worried about what they would think and say. I relied on the messages that the chaplain sent for us. And what if the teachers saw me in the room? What would they think of me? Would they treat me differently? We started with just games and non-Christian content to get some people along, and then the plan was to start adding Christian content. But we were comfortable, and we found it hard to start introducing Christian content. We thought that we would undoubtedly lose people if they found out it was a Christian group, and word would definitely get around, I'm sure. But we decided that we would discuss topics and make it Christian anyway. We had a lot smaller group, and it was mostly other Christians, but it was worth it. So I try to remind myself that it only matters what Jesus thinks. I don't need to worry about anyone else's opinion. Until we care more about what God thinks than what other people think, we are never truly free. If we worry about what others think, it will keep us from reaching our full potential. Everyone is so busy worrying about what others think that they actually don't take notice of other people. And worrying won't add a single hour to our life. Life is so short. It's people's eternity that's at stake. One awkward moment for us and what we decide to do could be the difference between a person spending eternity with or separated from God. And God doesn't, and we shouldn't want them to have to go to hell because we were too scared of what they would think. And if they do end up in hell, they won't be judging us for sharing. They'll be asking quite the opposite. Why didn't we tell them? Why did they not hear? We are so caught up in the now that we forget the future. We forget eternity. So you can put yourself in their shoes. Swap roles. What would you think if you were them and they were you? This is helpful to realize that what we think might not be what the other person would think. If it's to do with talking to a stranger, you'll probably never see them again. So what's the worst that can happen? If we mess up, we'll never see them again. So why do we get so worried? And if we succeed, we could make a difference. And we might stay in touch, or we might still never see them again. So what do we have to lose? We need to make the most of the moment. You may never get a moment like this again. Time is so short, and we can't let a moment slip away without a thought. The future will come, but we won't get this moment back. If we don't want to get to the end of our life, or even a period of time, and realize that we wish the time away, or we were so focused on the next moment that we forgot to enjoy the current one. When we were in SA, planning to move here, I would count down the weeks and days until we got to start and move to Tassie on this new adventure. But I was so excited that I forgot to make the most of my remaining time in SA. The time would come and I'd have plenty of time in Tassie, but I needed to make the most of my time there. God has placed us in every moment, every situation, on purpose and for a reason. How will this affect the future? And what implications or possibilities could it lead to? What negative effects could it have? What positive effects? What long-term effects? And this will soon be the past. We likely won't know or stay in touch with these people forever. We need to make the most of our time with them while we can. I could move or they could move, so we should not take them for granted because we won't have them forever. Galatians 1 verse 10 says, "Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ." So what are the motives behind our words and actions? We can't please God and people. Is it possible to please people? As in everyone. I'm sure you've heard that it's not possible to please everyone. But why can't we please God and people? Well, the world and the Bible have completely different beliefs and viewpoints. So that means it's impossible to live the world's way and God's way. And the world already doesn't like Christians, so we already don't fit in. And we were never meant to be like the world. We are told not to conform to this world, but to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. 1 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 4 says, "On the contrary, we speak as those approved by God to be entrusted with the gospel. We are not trying to please people, but God, who tests our hearts." So we are approved by God. We are entrusted with the gospel. We speak. We need to speak. We need to share the gospel because we have been entrusted with it. We don't speak to please people. We don't say what we think they want to hear. We need to tell them the truth. God tests our hearts. He examines our hearts. God knows everything about us, and He knows all of our motives. People can't test or examine our hearts, but God can. This shows that God is far greater, and His will and opinion matters the most. Until we care more about what God thinks than what other people think, we are never truly free. But what do other people think? And what does God think? Well, other people might think that we're not like them. We have different opinions or beliefs. But God says that I am unique. I am set apart. People might think that I'm weird, but God says that I am His masterpiece. I am a child of God. I might think that I'm not good enough, but God says that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. God says we are more than conquerors. God says I am confident. I am complete. I might be wrong, but God says that I am guided and I am transformed. People think that they'll judge me. They won't look at me the same. But God says I am bought with a price. I'm a citizen of heaven. People will put stereotypes around me if they find out I'm a Christian. But God says that I am complete in Him. I'm a new creation. I might say the wrong thing, but God says I am forgiven. I am able and I am called. I might accidentally offend people, but God says I am chosen and appointed to bear fruit. I'm a personal witness of Christ. They might not want to be friends with me anymore, but I am known and accepted. I might embarrass myself, but I am an heir of God. I am not ashamed, and I am able. They might be mean and tease me about it, but I am healed, I am loved, and I am a citizen of heaven. Shannon Alder says, "You are not what others think you are. You are what God knows you are." God knows the true us. God created and designed us. Other people don't know the true us. They see a snippet of our life and form an opinion on what they see. God knows everything about us, more than we do. Are we more likely to listen to someone who thinks something or knows something? Knows, of course. If God knows who I am, there are no surprises. He is 100% sure. He won't be swayed. There is nothing we can do to separate ourselves from Him. He already paid the ultimate price with the life of His Son. If you were the only person on earth, He still would have died 1,000 times just for you, for me, for all of us. So why should we not listen to Him? What people think of me will always change. When they see a new part of me they hadn't seen, it will change. When they hear something about me, it will change. It is based on a snippet of our lives that they have seen. Why should we be so worried about what they think when they don't know as much about me as I do? So until we care more about what God thinks than what other people think, we are never truly free. So do you care more about what other people think or what God thinks? This week, I encourage you to think about who you are listening to, God's opinion or the people around you. What can you do this week to have what God thinks as the priority rather than what others think? If God asks you to speak to or help someone this week, will you do it?